You are watching A Moment in Crime, a product of the Vignette series produced by the True Crime Man's Dark Imagination YouTube channel.
On or about March 24, 1922, a local farmer in the Hinterkaifeck area of Germany, approximately 43 miles north of Munich, Andreas Gruber, walked among his farm in the outlying areas where he noticed a set of footprints leading up to the family home. Gruber questioned the footprints in the snow, but never reported them to police. Had he done so, perhaps he could have prevented the tragedy yet to happen, which has remained a mystery for almost 100 years. Within the next few days, Gruber and members of the rest of the family thought they heard footsteps in their attic and keys to their tool shed had gone missing. Over the following days, though, people in the vicinity became worried because they had not seen members of the Gruber family at all. 35-year-old Victoria Gabriel and her two children, 7-year-old Kazilia and 2-year-old Joseph, as well as her elderly parents, Andreas and Kazilia, lived on the farm. On April 1, 1922, when young Kazilia did not attend school, nor was the family seen at church that Sunday, neighbors became concerned. On April 4, 1922, Albert Hoffner, a mechanic who worked on a feeding machine at the Gruber farm, proceeded with his duties for several hours without seeing anyone in the Gruber family. When he first arrived that morning, Hoffner tried to get the attention of the family, but he received no answer when he knocked at the door. When he completed his work, again Hoffner went to the door and still received no answer, and then went to a neighbor's residence and reported that he finished fixing the machine, and the family did not answer the door. Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a farmer in the area and very close to the Gruber family, formed a small party to investigate the Gruber home. One of the members of the party called out from the barn, and the rest of the search party rushed to see what he discovered. 4 of the family were found in the barn, lying in a neat pile amongst the hay. Each one of the victims had holes in the sides of their heads, as if they were made by some sort of farming tool, a pickaxe. Inside of the house, the searchers located 2-year-old Joseph and the maid, Maria Baumgartner. One of the interesting facets of the case, and one of the most mysterious, was that Baumgartner only started as the Gruber's maid the day before the murders. Autopsies later conducted by Dr. Johann Baptist Ohlmüller learned that Kazilia demonstrated signs of strangulation and suffered from 7 blows to the head, which left her with a fractured skull. Andreas, the patriarch, was found to have his face caked with blood and his cheekbones protruding from his face. Victoria's skull was almost smashed and showed signs of 9 star-shaped wounds, and the right side of her face had been hit with a blunt object. The younger Kazilia's lower jaw had been shattered and her face and neck covered in gaping circular wounds. According to Dr. Ohlmüller, the elder Kazilia, Andreas, and Victoria died instantly as the wounds appeared inflicted with a mattock or pickaxe used for digging and chopping, and the younger Kazilia remained alive and in shock for a long time before eventually succumbing to her wounds. Dr. Ohlmüller concluded that little Kazilia ripped her hair out in clumps as she suffered before she died. Maria Baumgartner was murdered with blows to her skull, and little Joseph died as a result of a singular blow to his face while laying in his cot in Victoria's room. The murderer covered Maria's body with her sheets and Joseph with one of his mother's dresses. In a bizarre twist to the story, it appeared that the assailant did not leave immediately after committing the murders, feeding the barn animals and eating several meals before the discovery of the bodies in the barn. Additionally, neighbors saw smoke coming from the chimney in the days following the murders. After the autopsies were concluded, their heads were removed and sent to a clairvoyant to see if there were any psychic facets that could have been used to identify the assailant. During the interruption of World War II, the heads mysteriously disappeared, never to be seen again. The bodies of the Gruber family had been buried in a cemetery near the town of Weidhofen and the farmhouse destroyed after all the viable evidence had been extracted from it. Some sensed that the murderer may have been living in the home for more than 6 months before he murdered the Gruber family, as Andreas Gruber made the observation that his family heard footsteps coming from the attic. He also found a newspaper that he had not purchased on his kitchen table. What made Andreas even more alarmed were the footsteps in the snow to the farmhouse. In interviews with the former maid after the murders, she stated she believed the whole homestead was haunted and she left her job because of this belief. She believed she was being watched wherever she moved within the property. A large sum of money was found in the house and several valuables that could have been taken were left untouched. Therefore, the authorities were at odds with what could have been the motive. Immediately after the murders, facts began to emerge as to whom may have been responsible for the Gruber massacre. Merely speculation, mind you, but certain circumstantial facets point to a few suspects. Examining the lives of the victims, police discovered that Victoria, Gruber's daughter, was widowed because of World War I. She had a relationship with Lawrence Schlittenbauer, the leader of the search party that discovered the bodies, and both of them acknowledged that Joseph was Schlittenbauer's child, after a brief period of denial on Schlittenbauer's part. When Andreas interfered in the relationship, the two stopped seeing each other. Schlittenbauer went on to marry someone else, and they had a child. But the baby died a few weeks later. At this point, investigators targeted Schlittenbauer as a prime suspect as a new theory of the crime emerged as to the identity of the killer and his motive. After marrying another woman, authorities theorized that Schlittenbauer became traumatized over the death of his child and held animosity toward Victoria and the Gruber family, for that matter. He later ventured to the Gruber farm and murdered Victoria, her family, and especially little Joseph. Police interviewed Schlittenbauer's actions on the day of the discovery of the Grubers in the barn and the house. He acted suspiciously and nonchalant, viewing and handling the bodies without signs of repulsion. Schlittenbauer also exhibited an uncanny knowledge of his way around the farm. Even after questioning Schlittenbauer, the police explained away his behavior when the bodies were discovered as shock, disbelief, and they reasoned that his knowledge of the farm was as a result of the relationship he had with Victoria. In 1952, Crescentia Mayer told her priest while on her deathbed that her two brothers actually committed the Hinterkaifeck murders. Adolf Gump, one of the brothers, was questioned in 1922 but later released, and since had died. Anton Gump, the other brother, had no evidence that demonstrated his presence at the murder scene, so police released him from their custody also. Long after the Hinterkaifeck Massacre, another theory of the murders was that political groups rising in Germany at the time murdered the family. Along with this speculation, some believe that the Gruber farm was actually a weapons cache for the Nazi Party. The investigators determined that the killer knew the family and the surroundings, continued to upkeep the property and its livestock after the murders, and held an extreme personal animus to the inhabitants based upon the brutality of the slayings. The case was then closed in 1923 and would remain that way until 2007. In that year, the Fürstenfeldbruck Police Academy tried their hand at solving the Hinterkaifeck case. But due to privacy concerns and respect for surviving family members of the Grubers, the theory remains a secret. It is highly unlikely that we will ever know the identity nor the motives behind the Hinterkaifeck Massacre. Hello everyone, this is Alan Gotro, your host of True Crime Man's Dark Imagination. If you would like to support our channel, you can become a member of Subscribestar. There are different levels, and subscribers get special privileges. Also, we do have a PayPal account. If you enjoy our work here, please think about subscribing. I will leave the links below in the comments section. We thank you very much for your viewing, and please stay tuned for future programs.